Athelstan, the first king of all England, reigned from 924 to 939. As the son of Edward the Elder, Athelstan inherited a kingdom that had been unified in part by his father's military conquests and administrative reforms. But it was under Athelstan's leadership that the unification of England was fully realized. He expanded his father's legacy, consolidating power over all of England, from the Kingdom of Wessex to the northern territories previously controlled by the Vikings. Athelstan was also a skilled diplomat, a military leader, and a patron of the arts and education, known for his legal reforms and attempts to fortify Christianity within his realm. Athelstan was born around 894, the son of King Edward the Elder of Wessex and his consort, Ectgwin. Athelstan's early years were spent in a kingdom embroiled in conflict with Viking invaders. His father, Edward, had managed to secure Wessex's position as a dominant force in southern England, with the Danes, Vikings, in the north and east continuing to pose a significant threat. Athelstan's upbringing in the royal court was marked by the necessity of being prepared for leadership in a volatile period. Athelstan's mother, Ecgwin, was his father's first wife, but her death or divorce, it remains unclear, led to the remarriage of Edward to a woman named Elfthrith, who bore Edward another son, Edmund. This stepbrother rivalry would come to a head after Edward's death, with some of Athelstan's half-brothers attempting to challenge his position as the rightful heir. However, Athelstan's superior experience and leadership skills ensured his ascent to the throne in 924, following Edward the Elder's death. At the time of Athelstan's accession, the Kingdom of Wessex was well established, and the Anglo-Saxon heartlands were strong, but much of the rest of England, particularly the territories formerly under Viking control, such as Northumbria, Mercia, and East Anglia, remained divided or semi-independent. Athelstan's primary task was to solidify his control over these territories, bringing them fully under Anglo-Saxon rule and uniting them into a single, cohesive kingdom. Athelstan's most significant accomplishment was the unification of England under one king. Though his predecessors, including his father, Edward the Elder, had made progress in consolidating power, Athelstan's reign marked the moment when England was truly brought together as one kingdom. This was achieved both through military campaigns and diplomatic maneuvering. One of Athelstan's first acts as king was to secure the submission of the Kingdom of Northumbria, which had long been under Viking control and was divided between the Anglo-Saxon and Viking settlers. Northumbria had been a region of great power in the Viking Age, but had fallen into a state of disarray after internal divisions. Athelstan's first major military challenge was to secure the loyalty of the Northern Kingdom. He did so by defeating the rival Viking kings of Northumbria and bringing them to heel. Athelstan's victory over the Northern Vikings, particularly after his triumph at the Battle of Brunanburh in 937, was instrumental in consolidating his authority. This battle, fought between Athelstan's forces and a coalition of Vikings, Scots, and Irish rulers, was a decisive victory that secured Athelstan's rule over the north of England. After the battle, Athelstan became the undisputed king of England, from the south to the north. The importance of Brunanburh cannot be understated, as it is considered one of the most important battles of the period, solidifying Athelstan's position as the first king to rule over all of England. After this victory, Athelstan took steps to ensure the political stability of the newly unified kingdom. He sought to reduce the influence of Viking rulers in the north and south, making sure that the regions he had conquered were firmly under Anglo-Saxon rule. Athelstan also took steps to incorporate the Northumbrians into his kingdom by establishing a series of local rulers, ensuring that the diverse peoples of the north would accept his reign. In addition to these military efforts, Athelstan's diplomatic skills played a crucial role in the unification process. He maintained strong alliances with several European powers, including the Kingdom of Scotland, the Welsh kingdoms, and the Frankish Empire. These alliances not only helped Athelstan strengthen his position, but also further marginalized Viking influence in Britain. Athelstan's diplomatic acumen and his ability to secure peace and stability with his neighbors allowed him to focus on consolidating power within his own kingdom. The Battle of Brunanburh, fought in 937, was the pinnacle of Athelstan's military career and is often regarded as his greatest victory. Athelstan's forces, composed of Anglo-Saxons, Mercian troops, and Welsh allies, faced a coalition of forces led by the Viking kings of Dublin and York, along with forces from the Scots and the Strathclyde Britons. This was a conflict that could have spelled disaster for Athelstan and his dream of unifying England. The battle is famous not only for the outcome, but also for the consequences it had for the political landscape of Britain. Athelstan's victory at Brunanburh decisively ended Viking ambitions in the British Isles, effectively neutralizing the threat of further Viking invasions for the time being. The aftermath of the battle confirmed Athelstan's rule over all of England, with the victory being celebrated in later medieval chronicles as a symbol of Anglo-Saxon strength and unity. The Battle of Brunanburh was also significant in demonstrating Athelstan's military strategy. He managed to unite disparate groups of Anglo-Saxons, Mercian and Welsh forces to fight a common enemy, and his leadership on the battlefield earned him great respect both in England and in Europe. Athelstan's use of alliances and his ability to command a diverse coalition of forces marked him as one of the most effective military leaders of his time. Athelstan was not only a successful military leader, but also a king who sought to strengthen Christianity in his kingdom. His father, Edward the Elder, had supported Christian institutions, but Athelstan took this further by promoting the church as a central institution in his reign. Athelstan's support for Christianity helped to establish it as a unifying force across England. He was instrumental in commissioning religious texts, including translations of Latin liturgical works, and supported the building of churches and monasteries. Athelstan's relationship with the church was symbiotic. The church, in return for royal patronage, provided legitimacy to his reign. He worked closely with the ecclesiastical hierarchy, including archbishops and bishops, to ensure the stability of his rule and the spread of Christianity throughout England. Athelstan also sought to suppress pagan practices and to create a unified Christian kingdom. His reign marked a period of growing religious and cultural homogeneity across the kingdom. In terms of culture, Athelstan was a patron of learning and the arts. He encouraged the development of Anglo-Saxon manuscripts and illuminated texts, and his court became a center for scholars and poets. He was also known for his collection of relics, which became an important symbol of religious authority. Athelstan's commitment to preserving and promoting Anglo-Saxon culture helped ensure that the intellectual and religious traditions of his people would endure long after his death. Athelstan was also known for his legal reforms, which were a continuation of his father's efforts to codify laws and strengthen the rule of law. His legal work was informed by a desire to create a more unified kingdom, and it sought to ensure that all parts of England adhered to a common set of rules. Athelstan's laws were issued in the form of royal edicts and were often informed by Christian teachings, with a focus on morality, justice, and the protection of the weak. One of Athelstan's most notable legal contributions was his work on coinage. He established a more uniform system of coinage across England, which helped to facilitate trade and economic stability. His reforms in this area helped to create a sense of national identity and unity, as the same coins were used throughout the kingdom. Athelstan died in 939, at the age of about 45. His reign left a lasting impact on English history. Athelstan is often remembered as the first king to rule over all of England, and his military and diplomatic successes ensured that the kingdom he left behind was more unified and stable than it had ever been before. His reign laid the groundwork for the continued development of the English state, and his efforts to integrate the north of England into the Anglo-Saxon fold made future kingship in England more centralized. Athelstan's legacy continued through his son, Edmund I, who inherited a kingdom that was firmly united thanks to his father's campaigns and alliances. Athelstan's victory at Brunanburh remained a symbol of English unity and resilience for generations, and his contributions to the Christianization of England were remembered as pivotal in the formation of a distinctly English identity.